Okay, what's up, visual vixens? So, I'm about to give you guys a tutorial inspired by my nails. And I hope this video comes out right. I'm praying to the Lord that this video comes out right, because I'm behind and I can't see myself in my mirror with the way that my phone is turned. But whatever. We're going to just jump right into it. So for my brows this go round, I did do things a little bit different. I'm still using the Eden brow pencil in dark brown. However, instead of the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in sand tan and butterscotch, I ended up using the mocha. I'm slowly like transitioning to more high-end products into my kits. So this has been like a go-to for me, and I really like this concealer. So as far as technique, I didn't really switch up until the end. So I'm still drawing that initial line underneath my brows and then lining the top, making the two lines connect before I fill them. And I don't draw the line all the way to the front. So I kind of start where my hair starts to get its thickest. And now here's where I'm going to underline my brow bone with the Too Faced Born This Way concealer in mocha, and I'm using the small concealer brush from Wet n Wild to do so. After underlining, this is the part of my brows that is completely different and new for me. I went in on the tailbone of my brow at the top with the LA Pro Girl concealer in chestnut, and then I went right underneath. And I did this because I noticed on my last tutorial you could like clearly see where my underbrow concealer was, and I felt like I didn't have anything to blend it to. So adding this concealer around the end of my brow really left like a natural highlighted brow bone underneath, and it was like a really natural cleanup for my shadow. Like I felt like my shadow didn't bleed over as much. So now I'm taking my e.l.f. Flawless concealer brush, and then I'm taking that same LA Pro Girl concealer in chestnut, and I'm going to buff that all over my lid and on the outer ends of my brows so that it's smooth. And this is also going to be the base for my eyeshadow. Once the base of my lids are all smooth, I like to bring the concealer up between my brows, and I just find that it blends easier, like the face doesn't have any harsh lines. So now I'm going to go in my Morphe 350M palettes, and I'm going to show you guys what shade I'm using, which is this light orange shade. It's the first transition shade. As far as brushes, I will list a link in the description for both BH Cosmetics sets that I'm using in this video, because all three of the blending brushes that I used came from BH Cosmetics. Any of the face brushes, I'll just say them as we go along, but for the eyes, I'll put those links in the description. But now I'm just taking this lighted orange color, this first transition shade, and I'm patting it all over the right underneath my brow bone, and I'm using like small circular motions to buff that out. After that, I'm going to go in with that dark brown that I showed you guys, and I'm going to take this really firm brush and pat it into my crease. I'm just carving out the way I want my shadows to flow, and this is going to be where my shadows get darkest. Like this is the medium. This is, well, not the medium. This is actually one of the darker shades in my crease. So once I have that initial shape carved out, I'm going to go in with that blending brush, and I'm using that first transition shade as well to blend out the rough edges of my crease. Now, if I was just to go in with this really light shade, it would take a lot of effort to blend out these shadows, and it probably wouldn't even blend out as good as it could be. So I am going to go in with the more rust burnt orange, like earthy brown, and you'll guys see that in a second. So in this step, I'm basically just making sure that first transition shade is as pigmented as it can be, and I'm blending out the harshness of the crease a little as I go along, but I'm really just bringing that tan up. And then I'm going to take a bigger fluffy blending brush, and again, I'll list the BH Cosmetics sets that these brushes are from, and I'm actually using that brown to sweep up a little higher into the tan area before I move on to the other eye, where I'm just going to repeat those same steps. And this eye is where I noticed that it would be a lot better if I used the rust color. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I'm using. And I'm going to sweep that right over that dark brown. And then once I have this eye blended out, I'm going to go back on the other eye and pop that in between the two transition shades. And I'm just going to continue to build up my crease with these three colors. Once I have those initial shades blended out to my liking, I'm going to go in with the Morphe brushes, Jaclyn Hill Dark Magic Vault Palette. And again, this brush is from a BH Cosmetics set. It's actually the same brush that I used to pat down the brown. I just wiped it off. And I'm taking that blue shade, and I ended up mixing a little of the green shade that's next to it, and I believe it's named Inside Job, and I'm just patting those blues and greens out, basically right on top of where I pat that brown out. And this is to really form the definition in my crease and add a pop of color as well. This is gonna spice it up. Instead of going in with the black, I'm gonna go in with a blue, and it's gonna end up looking like a bluish green black smoked out crease, which is what I wanted. Now, because this blue is really pigmented, I knew I was gonna need a lot of space to add a darker brown and then further blend everything out. So I'm not taking this all the way to the front of my eye. I'm cutting it maybe a little bit before center eye, but I'm not breaking it all the way to the front. Now I'm going to go in with that dark brown that's in the same Jaclyn Hill Vault palette. I'm not sure of the name, but it's the only dark brown in that palette. And once I have that patted down, I'm going to take my blending brush from the Polka Dot BH Cosmetics set, and I'm going to go in with that second transition shades and buff out that darker brown. And I was noticing that I was losing a little bit of my blue, so I'm just taking that more harsh brush, firm brush, and patting that blue. So I'm literally just going to be switching between these three shadows and these two brushes, getting the perfect blend. Once I have both of my creases all blended out, I'm going to go in with the Wet n Wild small concealer brush, and I'm using the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer, and I'm using the lightest shade, and this is what I'm going to use to carve out that circular crease. I'm going to have a full circle cut crease, And like I said in my previous videos, the key to having a good cut crease is to make sure that your eyes are open when you are cutting them, so that you can see how big your crease is, and that you can make sure if your eyes are hooded like mine's, that the top of, well, the folds of your lids are not touching. Like, you're making sure that you're cutting past the point of where the folds of your lids touch. Once I've carved my crease out with the small concealer brush, I'm going to go in with this flat shadow brush. And I'm just using this brush to make sure I smooth out any harsh lines and to make sure that the base of my concealer is as smooth as possible. And then I'm going to use the same brush to go in with the NYX glitter glue. And I'm using this as a base for my shadow so that my eyeshadow does not crease. This is a really cool trick that I learned that helps to make sure your eyeshadows go on as smooth as possible and it doesn't allow them to crease. And it works for matte shadows as well. After smoothing that glue into my base, I'm gonna go in with the single MAC eyeshadow. This is new to my kit. I'm not sure of the color, but I definitely will leave it in the description. And it's like a lime. It's not matte, but I think it's more of a satin finish than it is shimmers. Doesn't really give me like shimmer vibes, but I'm gonna use that same crayon case brush, and I'm just going to smooth this all over my lid. And this is going to be the poppin' lime color that's in my nails. Like, I didn't want to go full on green and full on lime. I kind of wanted to find like a happy medium. Once I had my lid all filled, I went back in that Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette, and I'm taking that blue and I'm really smoking out my outer corner with it just to make sure that it doesn't get lost, which I felt like I was losing my blue shadow. So I went in and packed that on the outer corner. Here's where I'm gonna go in and do my eyeliner, and I'm not winging it. I'm pretty much just lining my lash line, and I'm using the Wet n Wild Mega liquid liner. And I really like this liner. The brush is really stiff, so you can really control it. And here's where I pretty much felt that I needed to build up my shadows a little bit more. So I went ahead and went back in with that dark brown, and I really packed on these dark shadows first, switching between the brown and the blue before I went in back into the Morphe 350M palette, grabbing that brown, that initial first brown, sorry, and blending that out as well. I'm going to go ahead and clean up the end of my eyeshadows, and I'm using the Wet n Wild small concealer brush, and I'm using the LA Pro Girl concealer in Chestnut because this is going to be the same concealer that I use to highlight underneath my eye as well. So once I've drawn the line out, I'm going to go and blend it out with the e.l.f. Flawless concealer brush, and you want to make sure you blend it out so that there isn't a harsh line once you go to blend out your under eye concealer. After completely defining the shadow, you can see where you want to go back and add a little bit more of what colors. And I wanted to go back in and make sure that blue was as far out as it should be so that it didn't get lost. Now that I have both eyes completed, I'm going to go ahead and prep my lashes with my mascara before I go in with my Rich Extension Minks in 25 millimeter length. And you can get these off Instagram. And if you're in Chicago, they are available for pickup. And I was finally able to get me applying my lashes on camera, and I was so happy for you guys because my last 2 videos, I was out of the camera's focus. Now, because my nails are long as ever, I have to use my lash applicator to apply my lashes. And this lash applicator actually came in a pair of Eylure lashes. And you can find the pack at Ulta. So I ended up just buying the lashes like a very long time ago. And I've kept the applicator ever since. And this applicator is really, really easy to use. It holds the lash really well. So I'm just going to put that on my lash line and then press it in to make sure that it's sticking. And the glue that I'm using is hair glue. I actually ended up getting the glue on my lid a little bit, so I had to go back in with my eyeliner and my eyeshadow and just clean everything up. But this applicator makes applying lashes really quick, really easy. Like, I can apply my lashes super fast with this. I feel like the biggest trick in applying lashes is doing this little thing that I do, which is holding down your lid. Trying to apply your eyelashes with your eyes open is really, really hard. That trick really helps, like holding down your lid so that you can see your lash line. And then I like to push my lashes upward, and that's it. I'm gonna move on to the face, and you guys already know I use the LA Pro Girl Concealer in Chestnuts to highlight underneath my eyes, the middle of my chin, top of my lip, down the bridge of my nose, and the center of my forehead. I'm gonna follow the same steps that I always follow. After placing down my concealer and cream contour, you guys know I'm going to go in with the dry disposable sponge to blend out my highlighted areas. And then I'm going to take my e.l.f. small stipple brush to blend out the contour of my cheeks. And then I'm not going to blend out the bridges of my nose until I get to my foundation. Those of you who may be new to my channel, if you want a more detailed step-by-step of the products that I'm using on my face, then head over to my everyday makeup tutorial. There's where I listed all of the products that I used, and I use them in every single video. When I do switch, then I'll tell you guys, but for now I'm sticking to what works best for me. After dusting away all of my translucent powder and setting my contour initially, I went back in with the MAC Blush in Fever to add some warmth, and I had to go in and darken my brows because after dusting away with the translucent powder and the face powder, I just felt like they had lost some of their crispiness, so I just went back in before I finished blushing and then going underneath my under eye with the Morphe Jaclyn Hill Bot Palette. I'm gonna just take that same blue eyeshadow and smudge that underneath as a base for my bottom glitter. After setting my sprays with the MAC Fix Plus spray, and I also used the Rose Water setting spray, I just took a clean disposable and patted everything in before I went in with my e.l.f. highlighting brush. And I'm using the BH Cosmetics Baking and Bronzing and Illuminating palette, and I'm patting down that highlight first, and then I'm going to go in on top of that with the Crayon Case Loose Highlighting Powder in Golden, I believe. It's the more yellow tone. It kind of puts you in the mind of Trophy Wife by Fenty Beauty. All highlighted, I went ahead and took the same smudge brush that I used to smudge down the shadow, and I'm using the NYX glitter glue, and I'm also going to use the Duo lash glue since I'm going to be applying a chunky glitter underneath my lashes. So I'm just using that glitter to basically smooth over my actual bottom lashes, and it's going to help me apply the glitter right underneath, and I'm just patting that all down. The glitter that I used is from Cake Your Face Official in the colors Brittany and 2 a.m. So I used 2 a.m. towards the front, and I used the Brittany more so on the middle and outer corner. After a quick change, you guys know I went in with the brown liner and the nude lip gloss paired with the clear on top. You can use whatever you want. This lip gloss that I'm applying right now happens to be the NYX Butter Gloss in Eclair. And that is it for this look. I'll insert some unedited videos and photos, and thanks for watching, guys. I had a lot of fun recording this look. It came out exactly how I wanted it to be, and it matches my blinged out slime season nails. If you haven't seen my vlog of my nail appointment to see up close and personal what my nails look like, make sure you head over to that video. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.